Hi, this is Joe and welcome back to the shop. This video we're going to do an upgrade to a Harbor Freight drill press. This is currently the smallest drill press they sell. So this is a 5-speed. I think it's about 1/3 of a horse or something like that. It works okay. One thing I don't like about it is the chuck is sort of cheap. And when you use the chuck key, it's really chunky, and it makes it hard to, if I'm constantly changing in different size drill bits, it becomes sort of a pain because the actual chuck key here is real chunky, and it's just all around cheap. What I did is I went out and purchased a nicer drill chuck. I purchased this from Little Machine Shop. They're located in Pasadena, California. This is a 1/2-inch drill chuck, same size as the original. Just to let you know, the taper on the drill press is a Jacobs Taper 33. If you're interested in what the different size Jacobs tapers are, just go out and Google Jacobs Taper. Nice thing is Jacobs Taper 33 is a fairly common taper, so it's going to be pretty easy to upgrade the chuck. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to change this out. Oh, just to let you know, the prices of the chucks I've seen at Little Machine Shop is anywhere from $11 to $29, and those are all Jacobs Taper 33s. And this particular one here I paid $22 for. It does come with the Jacobs Taper 33 to Morris taper, which we don't need, so we're going to take that off. And then we're going to take off the original and we're going to change it out. And then we'll do another run-out test and see if it makes any improvement. First off, let's do a run-out test on the chuck spindle and the drill chuck, and then we'll change out to the new chuck. And then what we'll do is do another run-out test. So let's go ahead and set up for the run-out test. I'll show you that, and then we'll take the chuck off. We'll change out the chuck and repeat the test. Let's do a run-out test on the original chuck and see what we get. I have a dial indicator set up here. I'm going to take my fingers and rotate, and we'll get a run-out. So it looks like we're getting 15 thousandths run out on the chuck. For a drill press, 8 to 10 is okay. But notice as I jiggle the spindle, there's looks like about 6-7 thousandths there. That's probably the cheaply made spindle in the drill press, but again, you're not going to get milling machine accuracy on a drill press. So what we'll do is when we change to the newer chuck, we'll redo this test and we'll see what kind of run out we get. Again, this is the chuck that was that came with the drill press. So let's go ahead and change out. What you're going to need to pull the chuck is a hammer, a brass drift punch, and possibly a couple of pipe wrenches. I'll show you what I did to break it loose. Let's go ahead and put a pipe wrench on the big one on the actual pulley, and the little one here. Also, one thing you want to do is bring your drilling platform up pretty much as far as you can, because if the chuck drops, you don't want it to hit the floor and damage it. So we'll put this up higher to catch the chuck when it comes loose. So what we'll do is we're going to turn this, and you want to turn that, it's either going to slip off the taper when you're turning this, or you want, if it doesn't slip off, you want to get it to where it turns pretty easy. Okay, like that. And then you want to get your drift punch and your hammer. And even though it did, it hit the table. Okay, so there's the chuck. Okay. Now on the new chuck, depending on which one you purchase, it's either going to have a taper on there or it's just going to be the plain chuck. So normally what I do to get this off, again, I'm going to put that here, and I'm going to tap it with the drift punch, knock it off the taper. This is what a Jacobs, let me pull that a little closer here, you can see what that looks like. This is a Jacobs 33 taper right there, and that is what the chuck mounts to. When you put this back on, you just slide that on, get yourself a rubber mallet and tap it, and then you should be fine. If it ever slips out, you just want to tap it again. So we're going to go ahead and change that out now. Normally what I'll do is just clean up the taper with a little rag, and then what we'll do is mount that on, and I'm going to lower this table to get me some room. Let's go get a rubber mallet. I'll be right back. As an afterthought, or when you do yours, might be a good idea to put a rag on the drill press plate here, and then that way when you tap it with the drift punch, it will land on the rag, and then hopefully keep from either falling on the floor, or as in mine did, falling on the table. So what you want to do now is lower this down, or get it out of the way. Use a rubber mallet, don't use a metal hammer. And you want to tap the chuck onto the taper, and the whole point of the taper is that it's going to hold the chuck. So that's on now, and this is visually a much nicer chuck. Let's test the chuck key. Oh yes, turns really nice and smooth. It doesn't have that chunky feel that the original drill chuck had. Let's go ahead and set up the dial indicator, and we'll do another run out test on this chuck. We have the dial indicator set up. Let's go ahead and do the run out test. Okay, looks like we have a little better. We have right around 10 to 11, maybe a little bit more. There, it's also that spindle play. Okay, looks like around 10 to 11 thousandths, and then again there's some spindle play there. So we did make looks like a 5 thousandths improvement. One thing you want to do is when you mount your chuck and you tap it in, what I found from playing around with this is, let me show you what I did. Let's go ahead and remove the dial indicator. To make sure that your chuck is, let's reposition the camera here a little bit. Take your rubber mallet, tap it, rotate the chuck, and tap it some more. The first time I did this run out test, I didn't get good results, so I went back and I rotated the chuck, and at several positions I went ahead and tapped that chuck on a little bit firmer onto the taper, and that improved my run out. So make sure that you and make sure before you put the the chuck onto the taper that you wipe, that you want no grit, no dirt, no oil on there. You want it to be pretty clean. So you want to make sure that taper and the chuck is snug. So tap it a few times, do a run out test if you want to. You don't have to. Or do a test, and if it's a little loose, you want to then rotate the chuck and tap it at various locations. And in my particular case, that did improve the run out. So we improved the run out by about 5,000. So hope you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned. I'm going to be doing more Harbor Freight mods and tests and evaluations. If you have any comments, please leave them. If you have something you want me to test or mod, let me know, and we'll look at doing that for you. Thanks a lot.